I like watching people debate on YouTube. It's what I watch most often on this platform, actually, and I like to hear lots of different topics debated. So you can imagine that I follow a lot of skeptic channels, from Sargon of Akkad, Jimmy Dore, Thunderfoot, and also the Armoured Skeptic. And last year, the Armoured Skeptic put out a hilarious video called "The Moon is Fake, I Guess," which is a response to a channel named Spirit Science Central. Armoured Skeptic's video is a great exchange that features Spirit Science Central waxing spiritual and quasi-philosophical about different aspects of the moon, and Armoured Skeptic doing some sort of rebuttal, which wasn't really a debunking per se, but it peppered in some logical thought that challenged the ideas of the original video.
Oh, here, read this part here.
David Icke's research led him to shaman around the world.
David Icke? Does anybody know who David Icke is? He's the guy that goes around saying that the world is ruled by reptiles.
In all fairness to Spirit Science Central, though, their video didn't really try to ham-fist their ideas as fact, but merely painted some possibilities as to what the moon is, based on a few sources and a few things that they heard through various means. The Moon is Fake, I Guess, was posted on YouTube a year and a half ago. While the video is still just as funny as it was back then, things have changed since then. I'm not the guy that I was back then. I've learned new things and taken on a different perspective. I'm still learning things, and I don't have all the answers, and I can't answer all the questions posed by the Spirit Science video, but I can provide a plausible explanation for some of them, and I'm going to do that here in this video, so please hear me out. I'm really excited to get into this with you guys. So let's start with the exchange between the two right here.
Well, craters should vary in depth due to the size and impact of the various space rocks that hit them, right? We can tell that there was a difference in the meteor sizes that hit the moon by the diameters of each crater.
Yes, bigger rocks make bigger holes.
How come all of them, across the board, are the same depth?
Mother of God, an impenetrable shell.
They are not, oh my god, they are not the same depth. They all have relatively the same amount of sediment in them, though, and that is an interesting question.
So the theory is that the moon has suffered an untold number of collisions from asteroids or meteors, and that is what caused the craters on its surface. The problem is that it doesn't matter how big in diameter the crater appears to be, they all appear to have similar depths to each other. Scientists have been unable to explain why this is so. After all, you would think that the gigantic asteroid hitting the moon would have drilled a much deeper hole into the moon's surface than something smaller. The debate about these craters also parallels the attempts to explain the existence of the moon itself. Mainstream science tries to explain both the craters on the moon and the existence of the moon on collisions. Two bodies collide together to produce the desired effect. That's the idea. It's almost universally accepted as fact, yet the observed data doesn't seem to match what we think we know. Attempts to simulate the formation of the moon have not produced the results that the scientists expected. So what if the craters on the moon weren't caused by asteroid impacts at all? Well, my friend, this is where I step in and lead you down a rabbit hole I fell into 6 months ago. Are you ready for the ride? Good. Let's go! So, my story begins like any other story, right? I'm sure it's totally normal, right? I mean, I'm sitting on my computer watching UFO sighting videos on a binge, seeing all the totally real and not faked UFOs and pictures that aren't photoshopped images superimposed on a shaker cam effect in Adobe After Effects. I mean, the narration is compelling for at least a little bit, right? It's completely normal, I swear. Normally, I binge on UFO videos for a couple of days before I come up for fresh air. And usually I leave unimpressed with all the fuzzy dots being presented as evidence of aliens and move on with my life for the next few years or so. But this time, I fell face first into a rabbit hole. It started with this Secure Team 10 video about how Mars was in a war thousands of years ago, I guess.
And we know that likely Mars was a planet just like Earth was. So picture Mars as another Earth. maybe a few million years ago, before it was devastated and destroyed by what, in my opinion, I believe was a nuclear war of some sort.
Secure Team 10 cited a video in its narration and description as a source from Project Thunderbolts. I clicked on this video expecting another UFO conspiracy theory video, but what I got was totally different. The video went through great lengths in its hour-length presentation to describe how Mars did indeed experience catastrophic events that left huge scars on its surface, but nowhere did it state that aliens had done this. That was not what this video was about. In fact, the planetary scale on which Mars had experienced this sort of Armageddon of events made it clear to me before they even tried to explain it that this hypothetical advanced alien technology could not do something on this grand of scale. So I finished the Thunderbolts video, and then I went on to the Project Thunderbolts channel for more videos. I listened to their ideas and contemplated their evidence, and now I'm so far down this rabbit hole that I can't ever come out again. I want you to come with me and step into a realm of better science, and see for yourself whether you agree with me or not. Before we tackle the craters on the moon problem, I want to put out the basic ideas of the electric universe. So what is the electric universe? The electric universe is a collection of ideas that encompass many different aspects of life, ranging from cosmology to physics to biology and even mythology from the viewpoint of electrophysics. First and foremost, in the electric universe, gravity is not the fundamental force that holds the universe together. Instead, as the name implies, the electric universe postulates that the fundamental force of the universe is the electric force. The electric force is the force that holds electrons in orbit around protons to form atoms, molecules, and the basic building blocks that form the universe around us. It's also the force that allows us to power the electrical features in our homes, cars, and computers, among a million other things. It's the force that produces the shock you feel in static electric discharge, and the lightning bolts that you see in the rainstorms. How strong is the electric force compared to gravity?
The electric force, on the other hand, is 1,000 billion times stronger.
As you can see, the electric force is exponentially stronger than the gravitational force. It's even the force that is directly responsible for magnetic force. And many people involved with Electric Universe and Project Thunderbolts also think that the electric force is directly responsible for gravity. How is all this related to craters of the moon? Well, you can imagine with such a fundamental difference between classical cosmology and electric universe theory that the electric universe view of the solar system is much different than what we were taught in our schools. In this view, the sun is not a controlled nuclear bomb. There is no fusion reactor at the center of our star. Instead, it describes the sun as a node on a pinched electrical or plasma current filament or space wire. The heat generated by the sun is produced by electrical current flowing around the surface of the sun and not a fusion reactor at the center. This, by the way, is a simple explanation of why sunspots are dark rather than bright, because the center of the sun is cool in comparison to the surface. Incidentally, there's a related project called Project Safire that you should check out as well, where they use electric and plasma type experiments to recreate small-sized suns in experimental chambers.
So we have these anodes we can throw out. And that was day 2.
And in any case, with this alternate viewpoint, our galaxies, planets, and stars are all electrically connected, and current flows between the sun and the planets through cosmic circuits. The Aurora Borealis is the result of the electrical connections between our sun and the Earth through what is known as Birkeland currents.
I have here a Plantarella, a modern day reproduction of an experiment that's actually over 100 years old. The Plantarella was originally designed by a Norwegian space physicist called Christian Birkeland, who in 1899 led an expedition to the top of an Arctic mountain to study the Northern Light. Now inside this vacuum chamber you've got a big ball here that represents the sun, And a small ball over there represents the Earth. And within this small ball, we have a really strong magnet recreating the Earth's magnetic field. The next thing we do is we put a voltage from the Sun to the Earth, and so we're drawing electrons from the Sun towards the Earth. Now this recreates the solar wind of charged particles that is always flowing away from our Sun and into interstellar space.
When Venus was aligned with Earth and the Sun, scientists even observed electrical flow between Venus and our planet.
A few years back, New Scientist ran this article called SOHO, that's the spacecraft, catches Venus by the tail. And the astronomers were puzzled. In fact, they were surprised once again. They said the tail is made of stringy things. These stringy things are Birkeland currents. If they'd had any training at all in plasma discharge phenomenon, they would have recognized it immediately.
This is because Venus is charged with a massive electric field. If Venus and Earth were closer to each other, the electric current would be greater, even on a catastrophic scale. This brings us back to the craters on the Moon, and as you may have guessed, the electrical universe states that these are the result of electrical machining due to electrical interactions between it and some other planetary body in our solar system. The features of the cratered surface of the Moon are entirely consistent with electrical scarring produced by scientists in laboratories. The process of electrical machining can also be observed in our solar system right now. The recent landing of the ESA Rosetta probe on the comet 67P turned up no ice as they expected to see. Instead, what they saw was the electrical machining of an asteroid surface through the electrical interaction between the Sun and itself. We can even see the electrical interactions between gas giants and their moons, just like we see on the planet Jupiter and its moon Io. The electric universe model is a concept of the universe much more realistic than the concepts put forth by Einstein and Kepler. Einstein's universe is based on mathematics first, and we are trying to correlate our observations through telescopes and measurements with what he came up with in the mathematics beforehand. The electric universe puts things as they should be by putting the observations first and then using the mathematics to describe them. That's what Newton did back in the day when he came up with his laws of gravity, motion, force, and energy. The electric universe is a simpler concept and does not need additional mechanics to explain the shortcomings of gravity. There are no black holes. There is no such thing as dark matter, and time is not connected in any way to the universe as a fourth dimension. But as a whole, the adoption of this new way of looking at our universe opens up an infinite set of possibilities, and I invite you to take a look at the electric universe with me and see just how beautiful it can be.